Good morning, miss. I hope you slept well. I am here with another cup of tea, naturally. I never showed you the tea that I drink right before I go to bed. This is it. It is called Sleepy Time, and I'm not really sure what all is in it, but it tastes really good. But the reason why I bought it the first time is because of this little bear right here. He or she, I'm not sure. Um, Looks very comfortable and cozy, and this tea is comfortable and cozy. It's a really mild flavor and relaxing, and it's part of the ritual because I don't get ready for bed in 5 minutes. But let's talk about it a little bit. Um, Today we'll talk about the police report that I sent you a picture of. So, you know the story. I was at the University of Houston. I was broke. Um, I was self medicating heavily, and I needed, money to do that. I needed money to buy beer. I wasn't smoking marijuana at the time, and I'll tell you why here in a little bit. But I just needed beer money, and the work study job I had shelving books at the library just wasn't cutting it. So I had the initiative to become the acid dealer for the dormitories, and um, of course I was self-medicating heavily. And one weekend came along, and we were all going to go to the laser light show at the Burke Baker Planetarium in Houston. Now, among all of my friends, I was the only one who was a native Houstonian, and so I was going to be the guy who was giving directions on how to get there and where to park and whatnot. And so I don't know why I decided to take so much, but I took 5 times the recommended dose, or the usual dose that we would normally take. And we made it to the planetarium. I don't remember much. Things were getting kind of crazy in my brain. Um, I remember getting there. I don't remember much about being there, and from that point on, from the time that it hit to waking up later, I just had bits and pieces, and a lot of the story I got from my friends because they weren't anywhere near as bad off as I was. But yeah, I took a bunch, and yeah, a lot of things happened. The police came. Um, we were at the dorm. We were back at the dormitories by the time the police came. Police came. The ambulance came. Ambulance took me to a hospital. Um, and I remember I was out. I remember laying there and hearing a beep noise, and it was regular. And after a little while, I realized that the beep was in uh, sync with my heart. And that made me think, hmm, that's interesting. But I didn't think much more about it. I did realize somewhere around the time that I had to use the bathroom, but then I also realized that something just didn't, feel right down there. So my hand instinctively went to try to find out, why there was, what was going on. And my hand wouldn't move, which I also found odd, but it wasn't enough to make me open my eyes. So I just kind of reached my hand around a little bit and realized that there was some kind of tube down here, um, and the fact that I couldn't move my hand and there's a tube down there and I've got this beeping going on that's in tune with my heart, that got me to wake up and open my eyes and start looking around. Then a nurse walked up and she said, "Oh, hi, you are awake." And I said, "Yes. Can you tell me what happened to me?" And she said, and I quote, "I'm not real sure what happened to you, but they brought you in here last night acting pretty crazy." And that's when some of the pieces started falling into place, and I thought to myself that I am in so much trouble. Uh, So they let me out of the hospital. They had cut my shirt off during this process, and it was my favorite shirt. I had gone to see Jacob's Ladder at the movies for the premiere, and they gave out free T-shirts, and that was the shirt I was wearing. So that was gone. So they couldn't give me my wallet back. It was late at night, and it was in a safe, and they couldn't open the safe late at night. So they gave me a bus token and a discharge paperwork. The discharge paperwork said, "Do not take LSD or other illicit drugs in the future." And so I grabbed my piece of paper. Evidently, the blanket now belonged to me because they put it in a bag and sent me out the door wearing a hospital shirt with a hospital blanket and a bus token. Now I took the bus token and took the bus back to my dormitory. And the dormitories you couldn't just walk in. You had to walk up, and everybody had these little card holders with the key ring on it, and the card holder held your card that you used to buy food, and then it also held your student ID and of course the key to your room. And whenever you got there, you just had to show them your key, and they would let you in, and you could go to your room. Well, I walked up, and there was a lady working behind the counter. And you can imagine I probably didn't look, very good. I probably looked pretty rough. And I walked up to her and I started to tell her that I didn't have my key. I said, "Look, I'm sorry. I just got out of the hospital. Look, here's the hospital blanket. Um, can you sign me in or whatever. And she didn't break eye contact. But she slowly reached over here to the right and opened a drawer, reached in the drawer, and pulled out my little card holder with my key on it. That's when I knew that she knew that I knew that she knew, and what had happened the night before, and it was a little embarrassing. Got to my room. The phone is ringing off the hook. I answer it. It's my friend from Dallas who they had called her, and she's freaking out. She was a good church going girl. She's freaking right out about the whole thing. I'm still feeling the effects of the Haldol that the doctors gave me to put me out, basically. And so I just fell asleep on the phone. The next day, about 10 o'clock in the morning, two nice University of Houston police officers knocked on my door and handed me that pink piece of paper that you saw the picture of. They said, "You have an appointment with the Dean of Student Affairs, so you might want to show up." I was allowed to bring witnesses and character references, so I brought all of my druggy friends. They all took up for me. They said, "Look, Patrick's on probation for possession of marijuana. He has random drug tests. He doesn't do drugs. We all do drugs. Whenever we start smoking weed, he gets up and he leaves. We were at a party last night. Somebody else was making the drinks. Somebody must have slipped something in. And the dean lady asked every one of my friends how they knew me, where they met me, and every one of them said the truth. They said, "We all met in the chess club," which was odd. It blew her mind. And so they didn't kick me out of school. It was great. Somehow the police never really got involved more than just, referring me to the dean and, getting me into an ambulance, which was troublesome, they say. Um, and yeah, I didn't necessarily learn my lesson. I mean, I learned the lesson not to take near that much, but I took that particular drug a few more times in the future, like for the rest of that school year. But once I left the university and went back to Dallas and started working again and trying to get back to normal, yeah, I wasn't hanging around those people anymore. I didn't know anybody who would have even had that kind of drug, So, yeah, that was that. Keep in mind that all of this was happening about 9 months after my father had passed away, so I was, not necessarily in my right mind. Um, But the reason why that I would leave the room whenever all my friends would start smoking out is my very first week on the University of Houston campus. I showed up a week early. I had quit my job in Dallas, came down. A friend of mine gave me a ride, and I dropped all my stuff off in the dorm the week before school started. And since I had quit my job, I no longer have random drug screenings. I had bought a big bag of weed, no big deal. And my friend decided to see how fast he could drive in the empty dormitory parking lot. And we got pulled over, and of course, I ended up in jail. Now, you may think that that drug overdose and ending up in the hospital was the lowest point of my life, but I didn't feel that way. The lowest point of my life happened that time when I went to jail, which was 4 months before the overdose. Um, yeah, basically, I went to jail, and I'm tall and thin, and so they didn't have clothes that fit. The bottoms that they gave me, they were long enough, but the waist was about this big. So everywhere that I walked, I had to hold my pants up. It was it was a mess, and I was there overnight. We went to court the next day, but they didn't, put you in a big van and take you to court, and there was not an underground tunnel to take you to court. So basically, what they did was they put my right hand in a handcuff and connected me to a line of 30 criminals and walked us down the street in downtown Houston, Monday morning, rush hour. Me, long hair, just looking rough as hell, holding my pants up, trying to, shuffle my feet so my shoes didn't fall off. And this was happening, just uh, 5 months after my father had passed away, and it was quite embarrassing. I don't really feel much shame for anything in my life, but I felt ashamed for that. Went to court. Um, Judge reading the arrest report. Officer noted smell of marijuana emanating from the vehicle, and the judge started laughing. He said, "Ha ha ha! The proverbial cloud." And that's the moment that I realized that all cops are bastards, because up until that point, I hadn't smoked any weed. That was a brand new bag. I hadn't smoked any for, months before then. The cop just lied on the police report. Of course, I wasn't trying to, spend any longer in jail than I had to, so I didn't say anything. Me and the little public defender agreed that my best course of action was to sign up for 12 months of probation, and after that, if I followed all the rules of the probation, then they would expunge, they would erase that off of my record. So that's what I did. 12 months. Every month I had to go to some office in some weird part of town and take a random drug test and talk to the guy and pay him $30 a month or something. That was it. That was the only trouble I had with the law. That was like involuntary. I did have a little trouble right around that time from some things that had happened earlier, but I was able to take care of that with no problem, and it was just not very important. Uh, all of this happened when I was 21 years old, and yeah, ever since then I've been on the straight and narrow. Got a couple of speeding tickets since then, but nothing to be concerned about. I'm pretty sure you have never had any trouble with the law. You seem like a nice person. I don't regret any of the things that happened. I do wish some of them might have, maybe happened differently, but I don't regret any of that, because all of that, all the piss poor decisions, all the good decisions, all the accidents, all the mistakes, all the not accidents, all the not mistakes, um, all of those combined make me who I am today, and I don't feel like that's bad. I feel like I'm a pretty decent person. So, uh, yeah, so every year on that day in January, I can't even remember the date right off the top of my head, I get a notification from my calendar, and I open it up and it has a scan of that PDF attached to it so that I never forget how far I have come. So that is that. Just in case you were worried about, you know, anything related to my problems with the law, that was it. But, ooh, this video has already gone up to about 16 minutes, and that's kind of, I try to keep it 15 or less because I know you have a life to live too. Don't have time to, sit here and listen to me ramble on all the time. I will tell you an interesting thing that just happened, though. I was, last night, I was rewatching your video, as I do, and it was about halfway through, and I had to jump up and go do something real quick, so I just closed the laptop and took off. Well, the laptop didn't get opened again until I came to my room. I opened up the laptop, and then I turned around to get something out of this drawer here, and the video started playing automatically. So I'm bent over at the waist getting something out this drawer, and I hear your voice talking to me behind me, and it was the weirdest thing ever. And then I realized what was happening. So I went ahead and watched the rest of the video. Why not, it's there, and I just turned the volume up and sat down. And then I started making this one. So that's all I have for you today. Goodbye for now. I'll hopefully talk to you tonight.